And it's Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVetsMedia. We are in New York City today for the Navy League Maritime Strategy Conference, and I have a chance to talk with a four-star officer retired from the United States Navy, and that's Admiral James Foggo, who's now the Dean for the Center for Maritime Strategy, sponsored by the Navy League. Admiral, good to see you. What's it like to be at this conference today in New York City?
Hey, Ken, thank you very much. It's great to be back in New York City and to be here at the Conference on Commercial Maritime and Logistics at Sea hosted by the Navy League of the United States Council of New York City.
And you talked a little bit this morning about the major naval exercises conducted with NATO allies in 2018 that you were a leader on, Trident Juncture, and then also the one in the Pacific this year, RIMPAC, and the importance of working with our allies and practicing the logistics of serving a large number of U.S. military and NATO forces positioned forward.
Absolutely. So, as we talked about this morning, I had the benefit of being the commander of Exercise Trident Juncture, a simulated attack on a NATO ally, Norway. We moved 50,000 soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, 70 ships, 265 aircraft, and 10,000 tanks and rolling vehicles in 30 days. We moved 7 brigades in 30 days. It became obvious to me then, Ken, that logistics was the sixth domain of warfare. Now, my friend Admiral Aquilino just held RIMPAC, the Pacific Rim of the Ocean exercise, out in the Pacific. It was one of the biggest and best ever. 28 nations, 30 ships, 25,000 personnel. We actually sank 3 old hulls to demonstrate ours and the Allies' capability of doing kinetic events together. And it was absolutely fantastic. But to move that amount of kit, whether for an exercise or in time of war, takes logistics at sea. And we just don't have enough of it, and that's what we're talking about here today.
One of the comments today and points is the amount of shipbuilding the Chinese are doing in the several hundred ships per year. U.S. building many fewer, although building a submarine program is going. We're at the keel laying of the District of Columbia in June. How does the U.S. keep pace with what the Chinese are doing in shipbuilding?
Yeah, it's a real challenge. I mean, the Chinese have 5,600 ships. They're number 2 in the world in terms of capacity and hulls of commercial vessels for lift. They use those hulls for dual use like we do. But, that number, our numbers pale in comparison to what China has. So we got about 125 combat logistics force ships and military Sea Lift Command. And then we have the Ready Reserve Force. And we have 60 maritime ship program ships that are on retainer. We're trying to build another 10 tankers with the tanker security program. I can tell you that that's good, but it's not enough. We need a magnitude more of commercial maritime vessels under a U.S. flag in order to support both our commercial interests for import and export of goods and services, but also in time of war and moving the beans and bullets to the troops where it matters.
So how do you see the logistics holding up this year with lots of supplies being sent to U.S. forces in Europe and supplying what were the weapons we're supplying to Ukraine, and also what's going on in the Pacific, having had more ships positioned forward in the Pacific? How's logistics holding up right now?
Yeah, sure. I think we're doing a pretty good job of getting the weapon systems and both lethal and non-lethal support to Ukraine. We're doing a lot of contracting, and the Allies are doing a fair amount of that lift as well. So there's a lot of things coming from the United States, both by air but majority by sea, to support the effort in Ukraine. And I think we're sustaining. But again, it's not us at war. This is Ukraine at war with Russia, and Ukraine is not a member of NATO. Out in the Pacific, one of the most challenging stories is we just lost the Red Hill facility. So Red Hill is the DLA, Defense Logistics Agency's center for fuel farms and fuel supply to the Pacific Fleet. We had some problems. We had a leak. That facility's been shut down. It's never coming back. So that means we need to distribute that logistics for oil, JP5 fuel for jets, and diesel fuel for ships to the fleet. And we're going to need more tankers to do that. During RIMPAC, Admiral Mike Wetlaufer, just spoke to him the other day, leased a couple of tankers, leased a couple of big tankers, and he put console systems on them, which are portable systems that have hoses and the ability to move fuel from those large commercial tankers to combat logistics force ships, then onto our allies or onto Navy ships. So that's a step in the right direction, but we're going to have to do a heck of a lot more, and we're going to need some more resources pumped into the problem.
Admiral, just tell us a little bit about your new assignment as Dean of the Center for Maritime Strategy, a group sponsored by the Navy League of the United States.
Yeah, this is something that we've been undertaking for about a year. It's a new startup think tank, and you're right, I am the first Dean of the Center for Maritime Strategy. I've got some really smart analysts and a navalist with a PhD that are helping me out. The Navy League is supporting us with supporting fires, a building, a place to work, opportunities to publish, and Sea Power Magazine and our own online journal, The Mock. We have a weekly newsletter, and for those of you out there that are interested more, go to www.navyleague.org. You can join for just $25 for a virtual membership. You can also find our website and all the products that I just talked about that are downloadable, including Maritime Nation, which is our podcast. So I'm loving it.
That's great. Great to see you today. Admiral James Foggo, thank you for your service to our country. Great to see you, and best wishes. Good to see you here in New York today.
Thanks a lot, Ken. Thanks for the opportunity to comment.
Our pleasure. This is Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVetsMedia.